Hey everyone. So let's talk about AI in coding. It's this huge promise, right? Building applications faster than ever before. But I'm willing to bet you've hit this wall. You ask the AI for something really big all at once, and what you get back is, well, it's a mess. Today, we're going to fix that. It's all about changing how you think, less magic wand and more architect's blueprint. Ready? Let's get started.
So this is the big question, isn't it? The dream of just typing, build me a social media app, and having this perfect, ready-to-go product magically appear. It's a super tempting thought, for sure. But as we're about to see, it's just not the most effective way to use these incredible tools.
And that brings us to the most crucial point. We need to shift our mindset. Forget trying to be a magician pulling a rabbit out of a hat. Instead, you need to become the architect. Your job is to design the structure, to request high-quality individual components from your AI copilot, and then you assemble them into a solid final product. This is where the real power is.
So here's how we're going to do it today, following the architect's plan. First, we're going to get into the right mindset and draw up our blueprint. Then, we'll build our app piece by piece, laying the chassis, installing the engine, adding some quality control and armor, and finally, we'll step back and see our fully assembled product.
Okay, first things first, every great project starts with a plan. So before we even think about writing a prompt, we need to know exactly what it is we're building. This is our blueprint. For our project today, we're building a pretty straightforward NodeJS REST API to manage meetups. We've already sketched it out. We know we need endpoints for creating, fetching, updating, and deleting these meetups. We know what the data needs to look like, an ID, title, summary, address. And to keep things simple for now, we'll just store the data in a plain JSON file. See? Having a clear plan like this is absolutely essential. All right, blueprint in hand, time to start assembling. Our very first step is to lay the foundation, what we're calling the chassis, which is basically the skeleton of our API. I mean, think about it. Every single API needs the same basic setup, right? A server, some middleware to parse requests, a bunch of placeholder routes. It's classic boilerplate code. It's necessary, but it's not the most exciting work, which makes it the perfect first job to hand off to our AI copilot. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Look at the difference a good prompt makes. A vague request like, give me a REST API, gets you a generic, pretty unhelpful response. But look at the refined prompt. By telling it we want to use the Express framework and listing the exact routes from our blueprint, we get a clean, tailored, and immediately usable code skeleton. That's the architect at work.
So we have our chassis, but it's just a frame. Can't go anywhere yet. Now it's time to install the engine, the core data logic that's going to make our application actually run.
Right now, our code has endpoints, but if you send a request to them, nothing happens. They're just empty shells. The problem we need to solve now is to breathe some life into them by adding the functions to read data from our meetups.json file and write new data back to it.
And this is a perfect example of that component-based approach. We're not just asking for the logic. We're asking for two specific things. First, the helper functions for reading and writing to the JSON file, and second, the code that integrates those functions into the CRUD route handlers we already have. And ChatGPT provides exactly that, piece by piece.
Okay, we've got a chassis and an engine. Our API should work, but a good architect never assumes. So the next crucial phase is quality control, testing our components, and then adding some armor to make it robust.
This is where you, the developer, step firmly back into the driver's seat. We install the needed dependencies, we start up the server, and we use a tool like ThunderClient to actually test the endpoints. The AI wrote the code, but it's our job to verify it works. First system check, create. We send a post request with the data for our first meetup, and we get a 201 created response back. Looks good so far.
But is the data actually in there? Step 2 is to verify. We crack open our meetups.json file, and yep, there it is. Our first meetup has been successfully saved. The write function works.
Next up, the update function. We'll send a patch request to change the title, and we get a 200 OK status back. Another success.
And finally, the delete request. We send it off, we get a success message, and if we were to check our JSON file again, the entry would be gone. The full life cycle works. Our engine is running smoothly.
But hold on a second. What happens if a user tries to create a meetup, but, forgets to include a title? Right now, our API would just accept that incomplete data, leading to all sorts of problems down the line. Our engine works, but it's vulnerable. It needs some armor plating, and that comes in the form of input validation.
So we go back to our AI copilot with one last highly specific prompt. Notice we're not asking it to rewrite everything. We ask it to update the existing code to validate incoming data. And here's a crucial instruction. We tell it to only give me the updated code. This keeps the response clean and focused on just the component we need.
And here's the result. We integrate that new validation function, we rerun our test with the incomplete data, and success! The API now correctly rejects the bad request with a 400 bad request error and a clear message. Our API is now armor-plated and robust.
So let's take a step back and look at what we've built by following this architectural approach.
This diagram really captures the whole process perfectly. We started with an empty file. We requested an API skeleton, that was our chassis. We added the data logic, our engine. We performed the developer testing for quality control. And finally, we added input validation, our armor. Each piece was requested, reviewed, and integrated by us, the architects.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? Your AI copilot is waiting. It's an incredibly powerful tool. But remember to be the architect. You define the blueprint, you request the components, you guide the assembly, and you own the quality of the final product. And the best part? You can use this exact same process to add more complex features, like authentication or connecting to a real database.
I want to leave you with this thought. The future isn't about AI replacing developers. It's about developers who effectively leverage AI outperforming those who don't. So the real question is, what will you architect next? Thanks for watching.